Taking care of business. Welcome to the stream. Welcome everyone to a lovely Thursday art stream, comic drawing art stream. So glad you could join me today. We'll see if anyone else joins. If not, we're going to get some good work done and we're going to take care of some business. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get to work. Oh, let's go ahead and share it first. All right. And get that all adjusted. Oh, hold on. Gotta get that window ready. Oops, could have done this beforehand. Forgot. All right, so post my link. And we are ready to go. So I hope you are having a wonderful Thursday. Man. Means it's almost Friday. Means it's almost a weekend. Good stuff. So I have lots to do today. I have been working on lots, and I am working on a little graphic novel of mine called Interstella. And what I'm working on currently is a little 30-page pilot comic to promote my graphic novel and to try out some different techniques. And we are working on a page today. So what I've been doing, to catch you guys up to speed who've not followed me before, I've been using this 30-page comic as a chance to test out some different styles and techniques and really see what I want to use in my graphic novel. And about the last few pages near the end of this 30-page comic, I went through, I drew it all, I inked it, and I was coloring. And it didn't click until the last few pages, the style I wanted to do. So wasn't too far off from the style I've been doing, but I decided to go back and make some adjustments. Since it's only 30 pages, I'm allowing myself to go back, change some things, employ a style that I enjoy doing better, and make some changes. So here's a page here. This is my main character. Her name is Stella, and she's a space angel. And she takes care of outer space and makes sure everyone's safe. So I have this page here, and I'm actually doing some revisions. It's not bad. I enjoy it. There's a lot of good things in here. However, there's a lot that, looking back, just for not working for the goals I wanted to accomplish in this graphic novel. So I think a lot of that was this painterly style that was going on in the trees. There's some elements here that can be clarified. So what I am doing, and just generally improved. So what I've been doing is, so much change. Here's behind the scaffolding. Here, let me zoom out so you can see the before and the in progress. So I'm actually redrawing the mountains. I just found that it's just a little too distracting having a billion little trees. I thought I was being cool, but it's the same thing like drawing hair. I find it looks better as a shape rather than as all these little individual things. So I'm trying to actually stick with a simpler linear style and not feel like I have to draw every strand of hair, or in this case, every little tree. So yeah, and I added some rocks and just some overall interest. Since this takes up half the page, I really want it to be captivating. So I'm still going to be keeping the same feel, but changing the way I do the mountains here, clarifying her form a little bit. It's just a little dark. You can kind of see if I put in grayscale. It's not too hard to read, but it could be a little better. So I've been going through and I've been cleaning up these last two panels down here, so you can kind of see some of the differences. I'm just trying to keep it a little simpler, and this is not bad. This is still cool in many ways, but I realize that as I'm working on this painterly style is taking up way too much time, and I really need to simplify some elements and make them a little more not cartoony, but just simpler elements. So anyways, here it is. So this is what I'm gonna be working on. Welcome, people. Oh my goodness, I just saw the chat. There's a lot of chatter going on. Oh, welcome, Josipa. I think it's Josipa. Thank you for coming again. And thank you, Alan. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. So, if someone wants, I invited some people, and if you want to get in, if you can't get in, just put something in the chat. I'm trying to keep my little window open on the side so I can see if anyone joins. StreamYard, what I'm using, you have to manually let people in, so they're in the background. So sorry if I don't see you. All right. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to start working a little bit, and I might mute myself in a bit. I work better to music, but unfortunately I can't play music while I'm working on YouTube. Otherwise they will sound the copyright alarm and kick me off of YouTube, or at least take my video down. All right. Okay, time to get in the artist frame of mind. So let's see, I have my sketch here. We're just going to see what happens. I'm going to use my handy dandy little brush. It's a nice brush. It's by Flyland. Here it is. He does some really good, cool and good brushes, and it has sort of a nice little rough edge. So it's quite nice. I'm choosing to not do a vector layer right now. Since there's a lot of little details, it might just get a little, sometimes it's just easier if I don't do a vector layer. For those of you unfamiliar with vector layers, they are great. This is what one looks like in Clip Studio. And it does allow you to do cool things like using a vector eraser, erase certain parts and still maintain different shapes. So it is handy. It's handy for drawing things like hair or just general things. But for a lot of little detail like this, it just kind of works a little bit better if it's a non-vector layer. But we'll see. I might change it up. So awesome. Let's see. I'll quickly check up on the chat. Let's see. Helen. Hi, you've done so much on this since I saw it last time. This is true. I feel like every single time it's really fun to see the before and after photos. I keep 2 JPEGs and I just compare them. And it's like, oh, it's so much better. And Josipa, thank you for the stream. It's cool to hang out while you work on your piece. That's awesome. Well, I'm so glad you get some work done. I totally agree. I like working with our other artists, and kind of feels like you're working in the same studio space. Okay, guys. You know what? I think I need a moment just to get in my art brain. So I am going to put my banner up for just a little bit. And I'm going to, because otherwise I'll try and talk the whole time and I won't be able to focus. So let's see. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put my banner up a bit. I'm going to mute myself so YouTube can't hear my music. Please feel free to comment away. I will come back in a little bit and I will check. Let me just check the chat one more time. Nice brushes. I was wondering, since you don't use Clip Studio, can you install custom brushes? Oh, okay. So if you don't use Clip Studio, yeah. I mean, so this is the cool thing about the brushes, I'll just quickly touch on that. These brushes, yeah, some guy made them, and you can go in and edit like they do in Photoshop. So here's a menu, the subtool menu. Actually, I'm making my brush bigger, and you can kind of see how it changes. There are different features that you can do. I really love the brush engine in Clip Studio. It's fantastic. It beats Photoshop out of the water every single time. However, they're still building their ability to create and edit brushes. Photoshop still has them on that. Photoshop's really good at actually making and editing the brush itself, but the engine that moves the brush is subpar to Clip Studio. So yeah, you can actually make your own custom shapes. You can start with any basic thing, any basic, circle. And I haven't done it yet, but I think you can actually upload, clip. Ooh. So you can have different, here's all the ones that they come with, but I think you can load your own. So I'm not going to go too much into it, but so it does have capabilities. There are certain things that are a little clunky or a little hard to follow, but for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. So glad you asked. Yeah, Clip is really cool. I highly recommend it. I used to use Easy Paint Tool SAI, but Clip Studio is really designed for drawing, and it's designed for digital art. And I would actually say I like it better than in painting. Yeah, I like it a lot better than Photoshop. Photoshop is great for editing. Photoshop has the stronger editing tools, but they're being pursued by Clip Studio. So yeah, I recommend it. It's a really, really good program. Let's see. So you said, for example, I use Photoshop. So if I install one of the brushes, so I install brushes, it's like so many of them online. Install brushes, it's like, yeah. You might have to clarify that example. But no, it's good. Yeah, Clip is good. Do Clip. Clip Studio is great. Let's see, Blackmagic. I'm pretty sure you can install other people's brushes, but there are less people who make brushes for Clip Studio than Photoshop. That is true. So they're still building up the brush library. So, yep. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and mute myself for a little bit. I'm going to get my artist brain on and go for it. So please feel free to post away, and I will check the chat in just a bit. And feel free to put your own music on in the background if it gets a little quiet. All right, here we go. All right. Let me go ahead, take a step back, and let's check the comments and see. Oh my goodness. Whoa. A whole conversation. Whoa. A whole conversation happened. Let's see. Talking about brushes. So I'm going to go ahead and step back a little bit and catch myself up on these comments. Looks like we're talking about Clip Studio. Let's see. Yeah, Black Manic was saying earlier he's just getting started with Clip Studio and haven't experimented with the vector drawing tools. We were talking about that last time, but they're handy to have. And it is so reasonably priced. Yeah, that's true. Ever since Photoshop went to subscription service, it's been fine. But it's also just been so buggy as well. So it kind of happened around the same time. So I'm not ready to get rid of Photoshop yet because there's still so many good things in there that I really like. But I don't know. Maybe at some point I might have to consider, if it's a subscription service, I could probably bow out for a little bit. Let's see. For vector art, I use Adobe Illustrator. Yep, I like to experiment. I used that a long time ago. I haven't used Illustrator for a while, but it was good. Awesome. Reasonable cost. Yeah, Adobe is a lot more. Very cool. Okay, talking about Blender. Krita wasn't for me. Zach is one of our friends. Zach is a user of Krita, and he really likes it. I've never used it. Let's see. First time I installed Clip Studio, the interface was overwhelming. Yep, definitely a little bit of a learning curve. Yeah, definitely good customization. Welcome, Tobias. Taking care of business. Hey. Oh no, is it misspelled? Oh good. For a second, I'm like, I misspelled it. Oh, okay. Black Manic says at 3:30, 5 minutes ago, mountains look awesome. Thank you. I always struggle with organic forms just like that, making them recognizable, but having just the right amount of randomness. Oh my goodness. It's tricky. I wonder if I could highlight some of these. Here, 1 second. I'm going to try something. Oh, that's all it took. It's a click of a button. I'm learning. She can be taught. Yep. So, yeah, organic forms are tricky. You can see my inspiration right there. So this is a nice clean, this is by the incredible Matt Rhodes. He does a lot of amazing things, just line art and cell shading. So you can see my inspiration. Definitely not near to that point. And I'm already spotting some troubles in here. Speaking of random, it is easy to get kind of in that track. And I'm now noticing a little too many the same directional lines. So I'm going to have to somehow randomize that. I'll come back to the pen is kind of weird right now. There's something, I'll come back to the rest of the comments in just a quick sec, but there is, okay, fine. I guess I'm going to do the comments because now Clip is going to, no, is it good? Okay, it's auto-saving. That is a nice feature about Clip Studio, is it does have an autosave, and I'm pretty sure Photoshop does as well. But it saved my bacon a couple times. Really, it saved hours of work. But anyways, as I was saying, I'm using this brush, and there is something about it that is not as responsive as I want it to be. I think it's acting more like a felt tip where you press down really hard and it kind of gets that really thick line. It's just a little too thick. So I might play around with it. but let me come back right to that in a moment, and I'll finish actually reading the comments. Let's see. Yes. Hello, Maria. Welcome. Glad you can make it. All right. Everyone's here. Yeah, I just joined. The comments did blow up. Conversation happened while I was working. Okay, this brush. I don't even know for sure. So one of the nice things is I can take this brush. You get a quick demo, but I don't know everything about it. So I can actually click and drag it. I'm going to create a new brush, just like it. It's a rough felt tip, and you can even choose the icon, and you can drag them into different subtool categories here. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with my India ink icon. I'm just going to do number 2 right now. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and call it, I don't know if this is going to work, but I can rename it. Let's do rough felt tip Flyland felt tip. I'm going to do tight because I want more, instead of like the bleeding effect, I want it a little more tight pencil line quality, where when I press down, I'm pretty heavy handed. So if you saw me grab my hand and shake it out, it's because I was gripping it. Let's see. So here we go. Oh, this is where it's kind of like trial and error. Okay, brush size might be it. I don't think it's going to be ink, not opacity, not anti-aliasing. Nope, that's not the brush shape or tip. I know exactly I want to keep it that way. You can do a spraying effect where it like sprays it out. So, but we're not going to do that. And we don't want to stroke the texture. We don't know. Erase. I think it is. Starting and ending is a little confusing to me sometimes. And you can show different things. So there's a little eye here, and it you can basically make this little optimization feature visible in your menu right there. But I think it might be brush size, and so I can adjust this setting with dynamics such as pen pressure or stroke speed. That sounds like it might be it, but I don't know if I can. So this is minimum value. Oh, let me do maximum value. Whoa. See, this is why I create a second, like a second one here, because sometimes if I don't, it makes changes to the original and I don't yet know how to, oh, never mind. It says reset all settings to default. I just figured that out. Great. I was going to say I don't know how to put it back to default, but there it is. Nice button blaring in my face. Words today. It's not happening. Velocity. This, I don't think it's velocity. I think it's yes, faster movement. I don't want stroke speed. Ooh, I don't want random. Tilt. I don't think so. It feels like it is about pen pressure. Maybe what I will do, if I even it out a bit, I can just decrease the size. Let's just see what good old 50% does. Okay. So obviously it's really thick now. That might actually help, because that way when I press down harder, it's not bleeding out like this one, which is nice to have some variation. So I might decrease that a little bit. Let's edit. Wait a minute. Yeah, brush size. Okay, that was there. Pen pressure. Let's bring it up. No, oh, we want to bring it this way. Let's try 40. I like nice round numbers. That's a little better. So there is some variation, but it's not, again, really huge. Okay. Hey, 1 second, guys. I'm going to step out really fast. Okay. I live in Florida. It's really warm over here, and I feel like every day I'm fiddling with the air conditioning adjustment. Whew, okay, so let's see. All right. Okay. I think I like that. I'm going to put them right next to each other, and I can move them around, which is nice. So it is pretty ergonomic. Ergonomic? Is that? Yeah, maybe. I'm going to give this one a try. Oh, it doesn't have this. 1 sec. I'm going to try one more feature. Maybe this is where starting and ending is. Oh, wait a minute. I just thought of something. I forgot I have this handy little tool on the side here. I just don't know how to use it. All right, so let's try a steeper curve. I think that means the more pressure I put, the output as far as the size will decrease or increase. We'll see what happens. Sure, let's try that. Find out what happens. Don't notice too much of a difference. Let's see what it feels like here. It's not bad. Well, maybe I will just try this, and I'm going to try one more thing. I'm actually going to put the minimum value. Ooh, let's try 25. Because I don't want it like super thin little tail ends, I think. Okay, that seems kind of good. Now I got to fix some of this stuff. Okay. Just a little too predictable. Maybe just taking out some is going to be helpful. Oops. The brush feels different now. Something as little as that. Oh my goodness. Still feels a little too predictable. I'll just do fewer. Oop, this is almost a tangent right here. Not totally noticeable, but it looks like this line just goes right through. If you're wondering what a tangent is, it's a line that's unintentionally it's placed, but it creates an unintentional, how do I say it? Flow, or directs your eye in a place that's not intentional. It's just distracting and annoying. Your brain will point it out and it'll be like, something just feels off here. I can't tell what's going on. If that happens, it's probably a tangent, a line tangent. It's a little better. And I think putting some shades in here might help too. Sometimes I notice I slave away on my line art, trying to get just right and trying to fix it. And then all I really need is just some shade. I'm trying to be fine with random. It's so easy when I'm sketching, but when I'm actually drawing, it's like, oh, feels so final. Gotta just relax, let it happen. These rocks are really fun. Definitely inspired by the west coast of Canada. Actually, this whole image is sort of inspired by that. Okay. All right, I think so. All right, let's see. Fly Fox Pro, welcome. Hola. ¿Cómo estás? Did I say that right? It's been a while since I've done Spanish. I'll tell you one thing that really mixes up Spanish is trying to learn French, because it's just totally different. Okay. I'm gonna work on this. Ooh. Yeah, I need a bit of a coastline here. Just see what happens if I could do this and get away with it. Although, oftentimes trees come right to the water's edge. Whoa, this is acting all funny now. I don't know if I like my new pen. Oops, wrong one. That one. Okay, try that. Okay. Bien y tú? Oh, see, as soon as I read that, I think, was it bon et toi? Ooh. Oh man, my brain is so confused right now. It doesn't know if it wants to respond in Spanish or French or Japanese. I'll just say I'm good. I'll just stick with English, or I'll say something that's not even a language. Well, good. Welcome. I'm glad that you guys can join. For those who are joining now, I am working on, obviously, some mountains. I'll step back and show you. This is a page I am doing some revisions on. Got one more. And this is my before image I've been working with. So it looks pretty crazy different now. But there's some clarification I'm doing, and I'm not drawing out every single tree. I thought I was so clever. And I was like, oh, I'm going to shade everyone. And this is the one time it's going to look good. And of course, it never does. So it looks okay, but I want a different style than this. It was kind of going more into on the border of the painterly style. I want to keep it more lines. Okay. All right. Another great feature of Clip Studio. Photoshop has this too, but it's a lot harder to find and you can't as easily access it, unless I'm totally wrong. But up in this upper right-hand corner, you have a ways of tilting canvas very easily. Whee! And then you hit this button here. It goes back to center. You can flip your canvas. You can even flip it vertically. So you can turn it every which way. And this is really, really handy for two reasons. It helps point out mistakes, so don't look too closely at her face. There's a little bit of anatomical incorrectness, but whatever. So yeah, but it really sticks out when you flip a canvas. So you really can fix things. And it's really helpful, for instance, if you were drawing like this sun, if I'm going over here, I'm following the natural curve of my wrist when I do this. But on the other side, I'm kind of doing not that natural curve. It's just very awkward for my wrist. It doesn't move that way. So all I gotta do is flip it. And I can do that. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. All right, I'm being silly. Anyways, so the same thing goes with the mountains here is I actually like flipping it. And that way it's easier for me to draw this direction, which is going downhill. So it's just handy. It's just nice to have. And I'm drawing off the page because I set my my limit. I have some, trim marks. So I am on an 11 by 17 inch page at 300 dpi. And this is just a little temporary. I know that Clip Studio probably does this better. I started in Photoshop, so that's why I'm not really using their templates yet. But I made this little frame that basically is the same color of the background, and it shows me where the bleed lines are and what will be trimmed for the final cut. But I still need to draw my image past this line because it'll be cutting here. This is the bleed. So I got to make sure my image extends to this final line. So I have a frame. Sometimes I just turn it off completely, which I will do right now. Black Manic, I like holding the R key shortcut and rotating freely. Yeah. Yep. So there's definitely good tips and tricks in Photoshop that works well at it. Welcome, Ricky. Glad you can join in. Thank you. I'm trying to get some new lines on here. So, okay. Yeah, drawing trees and trying to make it like Fennec was saying, trying to make it look natural and random is hard. It's tricky. I think I'm going to keep the trees on there. At the end of the day, it's totally fine. It gets the job done, gets the point across. Some of that randomness is really good to have. It keeps things from looking less sterile. I just realized something. Ooh, those trees are way too big for that distance. They should be more like that. Too bad. Well, I could chalk it up for good practice. Yeah, that definitely is more recessed in the background. Well, bing, gone. Let's try this gun really fast. I'm gonna make my hair. There we go. I only have one screen set up, so I kind of have the chat on the side, or at least I know who's in the room, but I need to put this full screen so I can kind of get an idea and see both at the same time. Well, let's not be orange. It's a little better. Except, I'm just trying to figure out which mountain is in front. Okay, whatever. What is it? Think less, draw more. Sometimes I just need to put a line down before I can really figure out if it needs revision. I don't know what I wanted to do over there. So I'm just going to make up something new. It's kind of a nice thing about mountains. Drawing mountains is, yeah, apart from the trees and trying to make it look natural and intentional, it's nice to just use the natural jitter of your hand. There. Yeah, these are some mountains I would totally go hiking in. If they were only real. We're not even going to see that line. It's totally going to get blown out from the sun. Okay. Okay. Okie dokie. It is kind of amazing how much this brush on Clip Studio really does behave like a felt tip inking brush in real life. So it feels pretty accurate because I've used things like this before. I think that's one of the nice things I really like about Clip Studio is the brushes and the paints respond more like they would in real life. So blending two colors. Now, if we were to put blue and red side by side, and take a little blender brush and blend those two colors like you would in like oil paints or even watercolor or Copic markers, it would make purple. As far as I know, Photoshop still doesn't have any brush like that. Not like a blender brush. I'm probably totally wrong. Like I said, I haven't really explored that anymore because I was kind of like, I found something that works great. So why explore? I'm a little heavy-handed with this. I gotta lighten up. Ooh. Trying to make sure I match it to the other side of the mountain. It's kind of like drawing eyes. You want to make sure they match each other. Not one eye is going off in one direction. Ooh. A little easier though. A little easier than that. I think what we really need right now is like a Bob Ross voiceover. That would be fantastic. Happy little mountains and trees. He's actually pretty brilliant. It's really fun to watch his shows. I love it. Whoa, that's a little too big. Okay. Trying to remember what I did on that side. Okay. All right, so we have rocks here, here, and a little bit here. The rocks are really fun to do. I think they're my favorite part of all this, but I don't want to overdo it. Trying to practice some kind of restraint. Makes a little stronger image right now. You know what? That's why I'm not, like, something just feels difficult trying to do these trees. This is much better. Feels so much better on my hand. A lot more natural. Okay. That's right. I'm making kind of this little island thing right here. And let's see how we're doing. Try to make sure I match up the right size of trees on either side of the gully, not fjord, hills. Got to ease up on my death grip. Sometimes it's really easy and it just really flows. Other times I feel like it's just like so tensed up, trying to get everything just right. Gotta relax. Okay, there. A bit of randomness. I have to admit that sometimes, though, for organic elements, it seems easier with like pencil and paper. This feels a little more tricky digitally. Again, that could be the tablet. Again, the surface is very, I've said this before a lot. The surface of my tablet is plastic and it's very slick. Whereas if you're drawing on paper, you have some friction to slow you down. So your body and your muscles will sort of develop a different memory. And I've started on paper. I've always done it for so many years. It's definitely my preferred way of drawing because it's what my hand is used to. All those years of drawing were developed, started on paper. So now when I'm on digital, it's just a different type of muscle being used. So it's really handy for doing things like rocks like this. Let me quickly check the comments. Let's see. Fantastic. This if it just downloaded Clip Studio. Oh wait, hold on. Let me do the cool thing. There it is. So cool. Yay. Yeah, it's pretty similar. I think it's fairly similar to Photoshop. I'm having the same problem with trying to get natural random billowing cloud shapes. Yeah. It's interesting because there's some times where I just kind of get in that mood and I can totally draw them. It flows, it's clicking, but it's definitely a mode that I need to be in, using a part of your brain, the right side. So if you hear people talking about using your right side of your brain, it's training your brain to draw what you see and not what you know. But it's hard to explain, but it's a really cool mode to be in where it's a good connection with brain and hand, and you're able to get out the shapes you need to get out. But again, I will say, check out Matt Rhodes' art. He has fantastic clouds. They're very, very, very cool. And one thing I've done is I've actually traced people's art that I really liked, and just I'm practicing getting the muscle motion with my hand when I'm tracing how they do it. So that's a good way of practicing really anything. I could have even been doing that here on his mountains. I use a cloud brush. Nice. Yeah, I was using, there's some really cool cloud brushes. Oh man. There's a really good one on Photoshop. I won't pull it up now, but actually, there's two really good ones on Photoshop that they make more realistic clouds. So I was using them in the beginning, but then when I decided to do more line art, I no longer use them. But one does really amazing clouds, totally believable. And the second one is actually a smudge brush, and you basically put your clouds down and then use a smudge brush, and oh man, it's just add water. It's instant cloud. It's so cool. It's really fun. So yeah, cloud brushes are really fun. Let's see. Painter. So I've actually been doing more with the painterly kind, with lines being used only for firm, hard surfaces. Yep. No, I love both styles. I decided that was probably good to try and stick with lines for this comic because there's so much of it. And when I paint, I spend hours, and I'm already spending hours on each page. So I'm I better leave the painterly style just for my standalone paintings. Maria says, I find that one of the most complex things to line art are water splashes. Oh yeah. Ooh. Yeah, they are tricky, but they can be a lot of fun. I've started to enjoy drawing them more. It depends on the kind of water splash, but yeah, you really got to sit down and use that photo reference, get a lot of photo reference for sure. I have files on my computer of photo reference, but I also have a lot of other people's art over the years I've collected. I really enjoyed, and I've tagged them all. Well, most of them I'm still tagging them. So if a picture has trees or water or characters in it, I'll put that in a tag so that later if I need a reference, how do other people draw this? I'll just type in water, and then all my pictures I tagged with water come up, and then I can just search and find the ones that I want, be like, that's how they draw it. So it's handy to see how other people draw it. But it takes a long time to sort through your photos and tag them, so that's a downside. Let's see. Mountains look great, but if you're worried they're too consistent, you could just randomly erase a few of the tree lines. Yeah, they create some of the randomness. Yep. That's going to take, sometimes they need to sit overnight, so I'll be able to see it more in the morning, or flip the canvas. That does help, but I think that's a good point. And Black Manic says, I definitely find the resistance of paper helps me to draw both random organic things and nice, long, smooth lines. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that actually. I like the feel of paper. It just feels better. I've sometimes actually taken paper and I've taped it to my little tablet. So I don't use this in tape. I've actually taped my sketchbook paper on here. And the pen still reads through it. So it's actually good for inking. But since I'm not doing a whole lot of inking right now, it's a little bit of a hassle to tape it down. And then every now and then you have to replace it with a new sheet. But it's a nice little trick and it seems to help. I have watercolor brushes. And fantasy brushes. Ooh. What does a fantasy brush do? Is it like a unicorn? It's like a stamp. That's what I first think of, like unicorns. Dragon brush. Okay. All right. Oh, actually, this is coming together pretty quick. Yeah, it's a little ice. Okay, I'll have to fix that a bit. I'll get there. Oops, better to just complete a section. And I might do some varying angles and different lengths. That seems to help. Just shading as well will help. Ooh. I thought we've been streaming for an hour and 15 minutes. Time flies from the dry mountains. So I grew up in Washington State, which has a lot of mountains like this. And I just remember thinking, when you're a kid, you don't know any better if you don't travel outside of your local home area. And I was like, I thought everywhere in the world had mountains. Like it was just part of the scenery of everywhere. I mean, except for like the desert or, like the prairie or whatnot. But I was like, the East Coast, it all has mountains, right? And they all have fir trees too, like pine and big, tall Douglas firs. And it's like, yeah, it is everywhere. It's such a boring tree. It's just so repetitive. It's everywhere. And it wasn't until my husband and I started traveling and living in other places, you're like, whoa. The things you think when you don't know any better. The world is actually different out there. What do you know? There are not mountains everywhere. And there are much better beaches in Florida than in Washington. At least in the sense of being able to sit out and not freeze to death. I love the beaches of Washington. They're just not swimming beaches. They're nice to look at. And if you're daring, you can wade into them up to your ankles before you freeze. So they're very pretty, but not swimmable. Unless you are brave or silly. Ooh, okay, what was I doing here? What was I thinking in this sketch? I feel like sometimes sketching is like being an architect. You're like, here's some fancy, cool building. And then you hand it off to the engineers, which is almost like inking. And you're like, what were they thinking? What? How are we supposed to build this? How am I supposed to draw this? Come on, architect. Get it together. There we go. But I'm really excited to get some shades on here. I think it's going to look pretty cool. I think my goal, I'll probably only be on for another 45 minutes. So what is my goal for 45 minutes? I can get all my flats in. And, if I'm daring, I'd love to be able to get some basic shades in. I will have to mess around with the colors later, but some basic shades would be good. One thing I was also going to mention is if you are working on some art or you have a web page, throw it in the links or throw it in the chat. I would love to see your art. I'd love to see what you're working on. I think it's really fun if you're willing to share. And sometimes for a while I wasn't wanting to share a whole lot of what I was working on. I just kind of wanted to work on it a little bit more until it was a little more finished, but feel free to share away. Okay. Little coastline. Oh, looky who's here. Hello.
Hi.
You decided to jump on.
There you are. Yeah, I had made a whole bunch of phone calls and I was waiting for people to call me back, so I didn't want to get too preoccupied waiting for those calls.
Ah, yeah. I get it. Well, welcome.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind, I'm going to see what you're working on. Oh my goodness, so much has changed.
I'm just revisiting this page to see if there's anything I need to change. It's one of those things that like you were saying about the mountains, I have to set it aside for a couple of days and then come back and look at it and say, am I happy with it? Do I need to do something to it? I feel pretty good about it. I feel like it's got everything it needs.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. No, I love how this page turned out. The only thing that's catching my attention is when she's saying "gah," like she's on the bench. It just from this distance, it almost looks like it's not like it should be colored. I know what you're trying to do there, where the cloud goes in front and it makes anything underneath it look pink. But maybe there's
like when she's the full body shot on the bench.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how it could make it look like it wasn't an issue of let's take a look.
Yeah, because I mean, really, it is colored underneath there, but the cloud is kind of
obscuring
covering it all up. Yeah, and I could definitely sort of just softly erase back some of that color.
Or if you don't mind, do you mind if I suggest something?
Sure.
I'm wondering if just putting like you have a line up here. Oops. 1 second. Clip. So you have this line here. If I'm just thinking if there could be like sort of a line show that there is a current, and then like anything that's you know, here like would be her actual leg color. I
Hmm.
don't know. It's just something that caught my attention, but then I figured out. So, and it might be fine, like even maybe like one right here. So it kind of shows that it's
Yeah,
faster.
there is a distinctive sort of delineation. Like
Mhm.
this part here is exposed,
Mhm.
right? And the arm here is exposed, but there's no
Mhm.
line to define that.
Mhm.
So yeah, I totally see what you're saying. I could I could play around with that a little bit,
Just
and
a thought. Yeah, I don't know.
I think I might have to just make it a really sort of soft line, not too dark, because I don't want it to
Yeah.
compete. I don't want it to compete with the line art of the actual character.
Even what you just did there is helpful.
Yeah.
But I would make sure it goes past
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah, like what you did.
Don't create
Yeah.
some tangents, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was just the one thing that I did see, but the rest, like I said, I think my brain figured out a second later. Yeah, even that actually.
Yeah.
So, but it
Yeah.
looks really good. And I
Thank
love
you.
it. I love that page.
Yeah, I was really pleased with it when it, you know, especially after, you know, you gave a little feedback and the other people on the stream gave a little feedback, and I tweaked it a little bit, and yeah, I'm really pleased with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is funny because like the way the storyline goes, like they release this gas that's supposed to be a light stimulant, but she just gets an adrenaline rush and goes insane, which they did not expect. And then on the next page, they're supposed to sort of sedate her again.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want to do the same thing again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true.
I'm trying to keep that a little more subtle.
That's looks really, really good. Good flow of information. Yeah, when you pull a party trick, you kind of have to wait a little bit before you can do
Yeah.
it again. But
Don't,
that looks good.
don't want to overdo it, you know.
Mhm. Nice way in demonstrating the flow of air coming out of the vent.
Yeah, I wanted to have a bit of weight,
Mm-hmm.
sort of falling down and pushing out,
Mm-hmm.
and I really struggled with that though. Doing those, making it look like it's gaseous, but giving it form. It was tough, and it was actually interesting. In your chat, somebody talked about using a brush
Mm-hmm.
for clouds, and that's kind of what I ended up doing. I used a brush to do kind of cloud shapes, and then I drew lines around the brush shapes to get something. I still feel like I need to work a little bit on making these a little more random, bumpy kind of. Yeah, I got to play with that a little bit, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
It looks good. I'm especially impressed with that one. It really makes it look like, you know, when you see a fog machine, kind of billowing blankets of cloud coming down.
Yeah.
It's always interesting when you're looking up reference, trying to find like what keywords do I put in, like cloud, billowing, smoke machine, like trying to find the right reference is always tricky.
Well, it's interesting too, because like I looked back at a whole lot of references and stuff, and it's you can just sort of randomly throw things at it until it looks right, but you don't really figure it out. And and when I really went back and looked at it, and I sort of noticed in all of the references that area where you have the peak of one cloud and then the shadow of the other, and the best highlight meets right up against the darkest dark, you know, which really makes that highlight stand out. And for the longest time, I was being really soft with everything, and it just didn't look right.
Yeah.
But when you get that contrast of the darkest dark and the lightest light right beside each other, it really makes it stand out. I'm like, that's what I was missing.
I love that you mentioned that, because it is doing clouds, especially, it really brings out the challenge in planes and highlights and shadows. But the cool thing is I found that with clouds, that skill set can be transferred to other things. So I was even, while I was sketching out my mountains the other day, I basically could use it on mountains too. It was almost the same concept, and it was cool. And there's something else I used it on as well, but it's, where it's different undulations and you have the highlights hitting certain and then the shadow in the background, and, and then drawing it was one thing, but then shading it is a whole nother thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you basically are throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah, and I mean, you can do that, but if you really want to be more consistent and improve your skills, you have to take the time to analyze why did it work.
Yeah.
So yeah, still
a learning thing.
Yeah, still figuring all that out, but it's a lifelong learning thing. You just you're always learning new stuff. So
yep, this is true. Sometimes explaining to people who don't do art, it's like, why does it take so long? And you're like, I'm learning in depth the lesson every single time.
Yeah.
Or people are like, how it looks so easy. I'm like, believe me.
Not so easy.
It did not come without a struggle.
Yeah. There's oh, I can't remember what the name is. Everington Brothers or something. There's a guy on Instagram that posts a lot of pages, and it's called Think When You Draw. And he gives examples of how to do a whole variety of things. And they've produced a couple of books. I haven't gotten any of the books. I think it's the Everington Brothers, I think.
They released a Kickstarter recently, right?
Yeah, I think they've done a couple of them. But even the posts that they put on Instagram for free are really helpful and really valuable. If you're drawing bricks, pay attention to this and pay attention to that, and see where your light source is, and throw in some randomness. And they give lots of little useful tips. And I find I follow them on Instagram, and I find they pop up, and every time they pop up, I think, yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. I love learning, the tips and tricks like that, and it's helpful. I mean, it is helpful to look at reference from life, but sometimes you just kind of need to see how someone else does it.
Mm-hmm.
And that they're in a sense showing you the way, and then you adapt it to your style. But at least you get the idea of like, that's exactly what I need, and here's why. Like I actually pulled out my old Garfield book last week, and it's just amazing. Like, we laugh and we joke, but like Jim Davis is pretty darn smart, and he's like, the way that cartoonists use to show motion and different, I was struggling, like, how do I show motion? How do I show this certain kind of motion? And it's really cool to see the tricks have been developed over, decades.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think, until I really started this project, I don't think I appreciated how hard it is to convey things very simply. Like it's almost more difficult to do line art and convey what you want to convey and have it be believable in line art, because you have to simplify everything.
Yeah. It is tricky, and yet simplify it where it still is readable.
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
The least amount of lines to express the thing you want to express.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Catching up on some of the chat. Tobias clarifies the fantasy brush question. Fire, glitter, magic, and lots of stone textures. There we go.
I was hoping it was unicorns.
Me too. or a polar bear. Let's see. Jessica is on Instagram at JustCock. So there you go. I will definitely check it out. Thank you. Let's see. And Ricky Is it Otieno? Did I say that right? Ricky2 Wilson on Instagram. Thank you. Wow. Oh, I love seeing what people are working on. So thank you. I'll definitely check this out. Tobias mentions Mitch Lewin Instagram is really good to follow as well. All right. I will have lots of things to look at. Okay. So you're going to be working on the second page today?
Yeah.
All right.
Keep tweaking that a little bit, do a little more line art, and throw some color in. I mean, I am terrible for just randomly going back and forth between coloring and line art, and I don't have a nice clean process. I wish I did.
Oh, I don't know. I would imagine that would be hard to keep a train of thought, though.
Not for me.
No?
I find it works for me. I don't know what it is. Like, I feel like even doing these clouds, like I started trying to draw them and then I wasn't feeling totally comfortable. So I threw in some color and then I could sort of tweak the lines to fit the color. And it's like a back and forth kind of thing.
But you're staying on the same page. You're not.
Oh, yeah, I'm staying on the same page. Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you meant like you work a little on one page and then do like a different page a little bit.
No, not so much.
Okay.
But like I'm blown away by some of the professional comic artists that just either sit down and just go straight to inking, or even doing their sketches and fully sort of realizing their sketches and then handing it off to somebody to color. And it turns out so nice. And I'm like, I sometimes can't get a sense of form until I see that color.
This is true. I agree with that. Like I was mentioning before and thinking about it, like I will really be able to tell once I start putting some shades on here what's really going to happen and what's happening.
Yeah.
Oops, I'm going to let you get situated a little bit. I'll throw it on my screen. I'm actually almost done.
I was really enjoying watching you draw those mountains. That was very, very soothing.
Would you say it was Bob Ross soothing?
Close.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you weren't feeling the internal struggle like I was. No, it's actually not too bad.
And actually, you seem to be getting quite comfortable just drawing and chatting and checking the comments.
Oh, it's come so far. Thank you. And I'm choosing things that I know I can kind of double task, or if I have to, I do kind of need to dismiss myself for a second and go into focus mode. Okay. Ooh, it's easy to want to add a billion details, but I need to fix some of this random issue.
I'm heading off to work.
Okay.
For a second, I thought, I'm like, did someone else enter our chat? I thought, like, how did they get in here?
My wife's heading off to work. She's got to go do a training session with some clients.
Evening training session. Let's see. Maria says, I don't think I can share the link to my website here. I have a Facebook page for my comic where I have posts with links to comic pages on the website. Okay, just search for Morphic graphic novel. I will. Yay! I will definitely check that out. Yeah, sometimes I'm finding more and more that trying to share links in chats are difficult. So I finally started advertising that I was streaming on Instagram, but they don't let you put a link in there. So I just had to have it in my my bio. Okay, let's fix some of this randomness. Okay. Totally different. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think the links they're not live. They're not clickable, but you can copy and paste them.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, YouTube doesn't seem to show links that share in the chat. Yep. Yep. Makes it tricky. You gotta get creative. Like they don't let you listen to music either. I was thinking almost about making like a playlist and being like, this is what I'm listening to, so you can listen to it alongside me, but I don't know yet. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll put some common music that I like to listen to.
Why not?
Okay, I'm going to close up some of these lines and then start on some flats. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to put you on the stream so we can watch you for a little.
The other thing I'm sort of waffling back and forth on, I used to, if you look at my screen, you'll see that like there's a crazy amount of layers there.
Mm-hmm.
But I seem to be sort of using less and less and less layers as I go, which I'm kind of happy about.
I'm trying to decrease my number of layers because it saves on file space and it's hard to navigate so many of them. But I've started to figure out a good general order of layers and how I do like to put certain things in files and keep things organized. But I don't know how Zach does it. I think he like paints on like one layer. I don't think I could get to that point.
That is impressive. Yes. I don't know if I'll ever quite get to that point because I'm not really doing a painterly style, so you need to have a few layers.
Yep.
But I think a lot of it too is a confidence thing. Like I was maintaining so many layers because I kept thinking, oh, what if I want to change that later? Oh, what if I'm not happy with that? You know. And as I get more confident, I feel like I don't need as many.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it because I've definitely felt that same thing too. It's definitely helped as it's more experience and confidence and being like, yeah, like, if I need to get it back, I can just quickly drop back in. All right, it's not that big of a deal.
Yep. I'm getting more comfortable with the some of the tools in Clip Studio, even just the rulers and things, you know, just I'm comfortable using those.
You came, I'm sorry, what did you come over from again? Not Photoshop. You're using
I,
something
I
else.
was using mostly Sketchbook Pro,
Okay.
and it's a really good program for just that basic sort of getting that initial sketch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure it's as good for getting to that final product.
That's right. It's, yeah, because Clip Studios actually has a lot of good similarities to Photoshop. So if you're coming from Photoshop, you already know certain things.
Mhm.
Say all the short keys are a little bit different.
There's a lot of pluses to Clip Studio, I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
So,
There's a couple. Oh, I think I'm still going to need Photoshop. I wish I had like a punch card that's like, I need Photoshop. And like, here's $5 to use it today.
yeah, I think that's the thing with me. Like I've always been a strong proponent of like open source and low cost indie kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I like things like Clip Studio. They have a good quality product that they sell for a reasonable price, and I want to support that.
Mm-hmm. Hey, most of all, it worked really well.
Yeah, it does. It works really well.
Okay. I just dawned on me that Clip Studio, I've heard of this. It has a close gap feature. Oh, 1 second. I'm going to put my screen on.
Sure.
So I've traditionally gone in and closed up my line. So for instance, if there's like a little gap there,
Mhm.
I tried selecting it, it would select everything in here. But, ooh, let's specify whether treating gap is closed and set width of gap. Let's put it up to the max and just see what it does. So if I select it here, oh, see that difference?
Mhm.
Interesting. So it calls, I should have discovered that sooner. I knew it somewhere existed, but I was like, yeah.
Comes with practice and experience.
Yeah, exactly. And the other, I know Fuzzy showed me area scaling, which sometimes I use, but I still kind of do my old method. And that's if I click here, it automatically scales an additional 3 pixels, or however many I set it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But sometimes I like having control. I'll probably just do 2. Selection area, expand, 2. And I forgot to select down here. Okay, I have to work on this.
I have found that really useful, that expansion of the selection area.
I feel like I don't see a lot of artists use it. I've seen watching some colorists, and sometimes it looks like they either have to manually use the lasso tool and trace everything or paint it all in. And sometimes I'm wondering, like, I just don't see people using the expand border. So maybe they do, and I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just something that people just do very quickly and don't really think about it, or if they just don't worry about it. I know some of the things like I've seen in Kurt's videos where he uses the magic wand or something like that, and he'll show after the fact that there's little gaps, but he says he doesn't care.
Hmm.
You know, if he were starting from scratch and doing all the flats and everything, he might be more concerned about it. But for what he's doing, She doesn't feel it's necessary to worry about those little
Wow.
white spots and things.
I wish I had that level of non-caring.
That's just the confidence piece again, you know?
It's a confidence thing, right? Yep.
Yeah. He knows when he's done with that, it's going to look good and he doesn't have to worry about it.
It must be nice having confidence like that.
Yeah.
Practice. It's true. You know, the cool thing, I was thinking about this the other day, is, man, like making comics is, at least seemed to me, a fantastic way to get better at something quickly, because you are making a page after page after page.
Yes.
It's easy for a painter to, in some ways, it felt like slower to me to try and improve my craft, because I was doing paintings, but I was doing them at a much slower rate.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Like you can obsess over one image for a long, long time. And eventually you get it to the point where you feel this is the best I can do. But can you reproduce that, you know, easily? Probably not.
Quickly.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, you know, I mean, I'm so slow at what I'm doing now, but I know every page I do, I'm getting a little bit faster.
Yeah, I feel it too.
Faster, a little more efficient. I learn a couple more tools. I learn a couple more tricks, and I get a little better. And it's cumulative, you know.
Yeah, very much so. There's a story, I don't remember if it was true. It could have been a true story. I remember hearing there's this professor teaching a pottery class one time, and he wanted to try something, and so he had he divided the class in half, and he had half of them make, for like their final assignment, the best piece of pottery they could possibly make and turn it into one piece. And so they would labor over this thing and labor over it and, you know, create it and turn it in. And then he had the other half make as many pottery pieces as possible, like this pot. And you just make tons and tons and tons. And they were never really amazing quality, but their improvement was dramatically better by the last few pots that they made, rather than these people who made, you know, spent all this time perfecting this one thing. And so it was really an example of repetition and getting better through repetition. And I was like, that's a really good example.
Yeah.
That's really clever. Ooh. Okay. We can do that.
So this is where I start throwing colors in, even though I don't really have my line art finished, but I just feel like I need it.
That makes more sense. I thought originally you were talking about hopping from page to page, but that makes more sense. You're kind of building it up together rather than incremental.
Yeah. Once I get the color in there, and sometimes I even throw some shading in there, and then I'm like, oh, that line art needs to be tweaked a bit. That doesn't quite work, you know.
Yep.
Which, you know, if I were in the industry as a professional, this would be unacceptable to do it this way. But I'm independent. I can do it any way I want.
I mean, honestly though, if it was like it's just a totally different way of doing it, the way that they hire on different, you know, like a pencilist and a colorist and all that. But I mean, if you were hired to do something, like, it doesn't really kind of matter how you do it as long as you get it done and you get it done on time.
Yep. Right, text.
Oops. Oh, come on. Come on, Lasso tool.
I have to say, I do love the text tools and the word balloon tools in Clip Studio. It really shines. It makes everything so simple, those tools.
I have not tried them that much, but admittedly, the little I've tried, I still prefer Photoshop's way of text editing.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. But that's right. You haven't used Photoshop.
No.
I haven't used the word balloons. Actually, I've not worked. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't have that many word balloons in this mini comic. So I think I'm still figuring out what I want to do for that. But just editing the text, maybe I just haven't figured it out. But I was a little annoyed. It felt a little clunky.
Well, yeah, again, I can't really compare it to Photoshop.
I know.
But I feel like the compared to Sketchbook Pro, it's much better. And just the word balloons themselves, you know, like, I'll give you an example. I've already done the word balloons for this one, but like if I want to put in anything here, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to put anything in here. And then I want to have some other phrase that's connected to it. Now those two are connected.
Oh,
right?
That's a cool little feature.
Yeah. So when I go to do the balloons, I put a balloon around this one.
Huh.
And I put a balloon around this one. And then I do the tails. And, you know, she's the one that's saying it. So I have a little tail there. And then I put a tail between the two. And it automatically creates it just the way you want it.
Huh.
You know, it creates the breaks and the lines exactly the way you want them to be, as long as you've connected those pieces of text. Which, you know, I mean, you can draw that all out yourself, but how quick was that?
Yeah.
You know, it's so fast and easy to do that way. And I mean, that's kind of sloppy. I didn't take the time to really make the tails and everything neat, but it's a really good process to get to where you want to be.
That is. I mean, I've not seen it in real time, so it's kind of good to see that. That was interesting what you did with the text, moving it around, rather than being reliant on more of the paragraph and tabbing over style.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do for my text. I don't know if I'm gonna have it all in one layer. I've been having any block of text like for a single word balloon as a separate layer. I'm kind of dreading doing text.
When you do it this way, it puts all of the connected text on an individual layer. What I tend to do is I then take all those layers and I put them into a group, so I can expose or hide them as a group.
Yep, that is handy.
But I did find it really useful, really handy. I mean, when I was, and I think the other piece that I found good about it is I feel like the measurements they give, like if I choose 11-point text, like I used to work for a company where I was a typesetter.
Oh, cool.
So I was very familiar with text. And when I was working in Sketchbook, it didn't seem like there was any real relationship between my page size and the text size. I just had to sort of eyeball it. It didn't seem to really work. But here, if I choose 11 point or 12 point or 14 point text, I know that when it's printed, that's the size it's going to be. I haven't printed it yet, but I feel like it's accurate, which is nice.
Interesting. Oh man, yeah, I kind of keep forgetting about that part, but that's true. That's what awaits me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I think their text tools are, and I think that's because it was designed for creating manga. Like they really geared this towards manga artists.
Mhm.
So they thought about those kinds of things. So.
That's another thing that I've not given much thought to yet, but I know it's in the back of my brain for when I do the text is readability on platforms, whether it be like a smartphone or PC or whatever. So it's kind of like, oh yay.
And you may find, for different formats, you might have to tweak it a little bit, but
yeah,
because I know I was looking at some of my pages, and I was comparing them to actual printed copies, because I really am very much inspired by that Amulet series. I designed my pages to be that size, like that 9x6 size. And I was comparing what I was doing to what was in some of those books as far as the text goes, and my text was definitely bigger. And I thought, oh, I could make it a little smaller. It would still be readable when it's printed. But you're right. If I was to try to put it on a smartphone, I'd have to make that lettering bigger.
Yeah, and yet then you don't want to make it too big either.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I'm trying to figure out. But yeah, especially it needs to be legible. I was thinking about that. Yeah, I remember first trying to figure out how big do I want this printed version to be, and it felt so I don't know. I guess I'll stick with 11x17 for now, and I can scale down, and I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, you're pretty safe with 11x17.
I kind of figured that.
You've got lots of room to shrink it to whatever size you want.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. Oh my goodness. I'll go a little longer. Can't believe it's already 5 o'clock over here. Whoa. Time flies. Okay, well, I will see. I might try and get some basic values in, because that's when it starts to really pop.
Yeah.
No, that is a really cool tool, though.
Yeah, the text and the word balloons and things are really handy. And I mean, I just did the normal rounded balloon, but you have the option to change the shape of it if you want to.
Yeah, that I like. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I like the idea of having something a little more random or hand drawn, and I'm trying to figure out. But I don't want to labor over making a decent enough word balloon unless it just takes time, confidence. But sometimes I feel like if it's a little too spherical just for my art, it kind of doesn't blend as well.
Yes.
But I haven't really looked into it a whole lot. But I really do like that feature without having to spend, I've already spent hours on this thing that I would like to not have to labor a lifetime over the words. But I know it's going to be another learning curve, so it's going to take a little more time to figure it out.
Well, I mean, and you could do a mix of the two, you could have a particular hand-drawn shape just for your main character, and then everybody else just gets a pretty straightforward rounded balloon.
That's true. That's true. I've seen people do that. That's been really cool to see. make sure.
You know, one of the comics I was reading, they had a particular character who was kind of narrating through parts of the series, and whenever that character's voice was being represented, all of the text was hand-drawn, written text, and everybody else had a more standard font of text. And it was a really effective tool, you know, to identify that character speaking as opposed to everybody else.
Yeah. And it's cool to see that happen because, and when it's really done well like that, it kind of shows that you don't, you know, it doesn't have to be exactly like how the standard was.
Yeah.
In the traditional sense of making comics. As long as it makes sense and it's legible and it fits the story and it fits the style. Yeah.
I think that's the beautiful thing about comics is that, you know, there is so much flexibility. There's so much to it. I mean, you've got the artistic piece, you've got the literary piece, and within the art, you know, you've got so many different styles you can choose, and you can swap around from one to another. And I've seen, you know, very simplistic art with really deep, meaningful stories that works. And if you look at something like is it the Mouse series?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Art Spiegelman.
The art is simplistic, but effective for that kind of story, you know?
Yeah. It's been a while since I've read that, but that was really a pretty amazing book.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah, I can feel myself. It's amazing how working on a piece suddenly you're like, oh, I get tired. But okay, I'm gonna try and keep the energy going a little longer. And I'm gonna do a quick mock-up. Multiply. Watercolor. And I think that I'm right now just trying to figure out the kind of font I want to do. So I actually made a hand-drawn font. I made my own font on, I forgot the name of the website I went, but they let you do like one free font. So yeah, so it's really cool to do, really handy. Not sure if it's the one I want to stick with. I might use it for this comic. But then I think you start getting into typography and it's like a whole nother ball game. Oh my gosh, I don't want to. You want to make it good, but
yeah, that's a whole rabbit hole you don't want to go down.
Yeah, it's like you gotta, you know. I mean, at the same time, like you gotta at least make it a choice to choose the best one for that fits your work. Nick Welch, that works with Jason a lot, he does a lot of lettering. I don't know if he said this or someone said that they had seen a lot of really amazing comics that have been ruined by like subpar lettering. And it's like, yeah, I can see how that's the case. It can kind of take you out of the story, but I keep forgetting that it's like, oh yeah, I still have lettering to do after all. I'm done with these pages. But it's almost there.
I have to say I took the easy way out, and I grabbed a couple of fonts. There's a publisher, and they call Blambot.
Yep. I've heard of
and they have free fonts that they offer that are freely available that you can use for whatever purpose without any restrictions or copyrights and stuff. And they're good fonts, you know, for comic book art. And there was another company that did a similar thing. So I've got like 2 sets of fonts that I'm just sort of swapping back and forth between. But if I get sort of closer to the end of this and I look at it and I say, you know, like you say, I want something a little more unique, then I could go in and either create my own or hand draw the lettering for some parts or what have you. But I feel like starting with those pre-made comic book fonts is good for me right now.
I think that's a good idea. I sometimes I feel like I make things a lot harder for myself than I probably need to.
I thought about that a lot, though. I actually did try to make my own font at one point, but it was a lot of work to get it to look decent.
Yeah, that is true.
I don't have particularly good handwriting to begin with, so maybe you do.
But the handwriting I have is it denotes a specific style.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still trying to. It's almost a little more. It might work for this 30-page little pilot comic because it's very light-hearted.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really know until I use it, and then I kind of see the flaws or what works or what doesn't. Like it's just amazing when you start being like, oh, like man, that sure doesn't work. The whatever the oh man, I forgot what it's called. Like the uppercase part on the H's is like, jutting up too high, or like the little lowercase thing on the P is really messing up with the font below it. So, and then all my lessons in typography in college are like haunting me again. I'm like, oh, I hear my teacher in the back of my brain being like, "What are you doing? I've been taught this."
Sometimes it's kind of good to just be a little naive about these things and just go for it, you know?
Yeah, I know. Sometimes like feels like the burden of knowledge being like, am I doing this right? Am I messing this up?
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. You know what? It's my comic.
It's your comic. You can do whatever you want.
Yep. This is interesting. So I'm trying two different things on the left-hand side. I painted in, this is a quick mock-up, and painted in all my shades, and now I'm doing a subtractive method where I'm painted in all the shades, and now I'm just subtracting where the little light is hitting. So
nice.
It's always fine. It's always interesting to me how it's different. It always, I don't know. I'm starting to like the subtractive method a bit.
Yeah.
It's not natural.
Shadow everything and then remove the highlight.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of nice.
It's it's a different way of thinking. It's a different part of the brain, but it's not the way I was taught taught myself because, when you're a kid or whatever, you typically start with a pencil and you're adding. It's an additive form.
Mm-hmm.
I typically do additive, but the more digital art I've been doing over the years, the more I've been playing around with subtractive art and a mixture of both seems to be.
Yeah.
Man, I think this is going to take a lot longer than, well, yeah, we'll see. I think I might need to look at this with fresh eyes tomorrow before I make bad art decisions.
I find I have to do that. I have to just set things aside, come back in a couple of days, take another look at it, and then decide if there's something that needs to be changed.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's really benefited me though, doing little quick mock-ups and tests. It saved me a lot of time down the road.
Yeah, I can see that being really valuable.
Because in the past, I just kind of full tilt, just go into it, and then later be like, "Uh-oh, it's not working."
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I'm going to pick up on the chat. I feel like it's been a while. Here, I'm gonna put on yours. Whoop, whoop. There. Oh, I'm a little behind.
Have we missed a whole lot of chatting?
No, I think I've mostly missed. Let's see, Giuseppa. Thanks for the shout out. Hope you follow me. I would love to check it out. Thank you. Yep, we don't show links on YouTube. Okay, maybe we have seen some of this. Bias says, I might get paid to animate a little video. Ooh, nice. That is very exciting. Yeah, finally getting paid to do hours and hours of drawing and rendering, right? I hear ya. Was it the Mockingjay? I hear ya. Oh, man. Oh, wouldn't that be nice to get paid to do art?
That would be nice.
No, congratulations. That's really cool, Tobias. Yay.
Yeah.
And well, I don't know if you will be able to send us what you do. Sometimes there's non-disclosure agreements on those things, but if you can, send it to us later. We'd love to see it. Aaron Blaze uses the subtractive method.
I've seen some of his streams. I mean, he's a remarkable artist.
Aaron Blaze.
He's a Disney animator who I'm not sure if he's actively involved with Disney now, but he's been around for a long, long time. He's very skilled, particularly at doing animals.
Okay.
I think he did Brother Bear and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Yes, like probably Lion King.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Threw me for a loop for a second because I remember in Aaron Blaze in my class at school growing up. So I was like, wait, what? Who? Different Aaron.
Yeah, but I can totally see what they're talking about, with the subtractive method, because he definitely lays down some dark color and then puts highlight on top of that. He does a bit more of a painterly kind of style, I think, but it's the same idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what was it? That was a skill that I feel like I started to delve into more with oil paints and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Just didn't really have access to it again with a pencil because you could erase it. I just didn't a whole lot. So, but it really works for certain things.
Yep.
It really makes it a lot easier. Okay, I'm going to just do my second mountain, kind of like how I did the first. I think I'm just going to put the mock up. Yeah, see, I'm getting tired.
Actually, I'm going to probably have to go here shortly anyway. I got to get some supper going for my daughter.
Yeah, well, you heading out right now, or?
I got a few more minutes.
Okay, yeah, I'll get this other side of the mountain done. I know when to quit. Sometimes. I thought I was going to be a little powerhouse through it, but it is.
You got a lot done, though.
I did. I'm actually pretty pleased. And I've gotten a lot. I was working on this piece before yesterday and today. I'm working on other parts of it. So this is the last main part that I have to fix. So I don't have much more after this. Yeah, I was planning on doing an evening stream today, but my husband and I are doing a yard project out front, and we're getting some like mulch delivered on Saturday So we're trying to hit a certain milestone today. Oh man, that means going out to do yard work after this. Ah! Here I am whining about being tired. It's like, great. Are you up for yard work? Perfect. I don't really, actually, I like being outside, but it is a little hot out here. So I think that's the part I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Sometimes, getting out and doing something physical like that can kind of energize you a little bit, though.
Yeah, this is true. I think that will actually be really nice. It might be exactly what I've needed right now after just sitting here all day. Probably will be very energizing. Either that or coffee. The promise of Friday. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm going to need some better lighting choices or decisions on this later. This is where I'm going to end.
All right. I think I'm gonna step out. Go get some supper going.
Yeah, sounds good. Let's see. I want to end it today too. Oh wow, you already got your word balloons in.
Yeah, I got those ones done. And yeah, I think I'm gonna throw the rest of the flats in, and then I'll tweak all the line art. And yeah, so
Nice.
hopefully it will complement the page before.
I think so. And not only that, but you're cruising on that, so you're not going to be much longer till you're done with this page.
No.
Ooh, well, let's quickly check the comments. Yeah, Maria or Tobias said he animated Nala on the Lion King. There, that makes sense. Cool. Thank you, guys. So we are, yep. This will maybe, I don't know. I'll probably finish it and I'll post it. Well, you guys will see results later, but this is where I am at, and this is where I came from. Again, cool in different ways, but I'm much more liking where this is going.
I like the line art. I like, the more comic-y feel to it. It looks really good.
Me too. I still have, there's some things, I think what I might do is take out, I feel like I have a lot of detail in here. I might take a little bit of it out to simplify it, but by and large, it's a lot more simplified than imagery. So
it looks good.
Yeah, there's 100 different ways you can cut a cake. So. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you, Craig, for jumping on.
Yeah, you have a good evening.
Absolutely. And everyone have a great morning, evening, wherever you're at. And we will do this again soon. So
see ya.
Take care. Bye.